alive. We live alive. You know what I'm talking about? Very interesting set of events within the last 14 hours. It's as you come in, show some love. Because what I know is true is there is 16 individuals being released today that are very special to this movement. You know what I'm talking about? Being set free. Greetings, welcome. Incredibly gorgeous. Now that's a name. I'm Now, I want to talk about being set free. Greetings, welcome everyone. How are you? Victorious, Vanglorious, Waj. You know what it is to be set free? You know, there's different levels to being set free. You could set someone loose and say, fly. You could be set up. You could be released. So we have 16. Where some of you are at, you're going to say 7. But we beg to differ. When we say 17, we mean 17, not 16. You know what I'm talking about? The reason for this is someone does ikasi feel. You know it as Ouija. We know it as Uji. And when you sit in your domain, in the dark specifically, and attempt to channel whom you call your ancestors while using a Ouija board, you are in a cipher. That's where you get placed. Certain things are for particular individuals, not in particular, particular. If you do a search, you'll see that a lot of jargon, slang, is wrong, and it becomes normalized. Like Ouija, when we know it's Uji. Everything about the name says Uji, but because of the mispronunciation, all of your clan believes everyone is going to say that you are right and you are wrong. We and ooh sound different. You know what I'm talking about? Now there's been a series of readings where I've talked about Ujis. And when you attempt to do it on individuals that are very high ranking, things happen. You know, there's so many horror flicks that address this, you know, and it becomes common knowledge that you shouldn't do things. However, if you are someone like me, and the Almighty sends a Asiki, an ancestor, to guide you through it, then that means you have access. When I talk about Ba, I am aware that Samdi is an addition. So when you said Ba Samdi, that means dual energy is coming. Now, if you were anointed, accepted, then you would understand that I am fully aware of who Baran is because he guided me at one point. So we have distortion all throughout. And because we have such a distortion, people feel as if they can correct my terminology by using someone else's false belief. And it makes me, it makes me laugh. Because what I know to be true is in the future, they're going to say that either is the one that brought the correct knowledge. And this is because it's going to be proven. You are not a conscious leader. So we're going to put that in the air where it's fair. When you do your uploads, it is a combination of Sarasu and Sade, Young Pharaoh, and Oka. Because all of these individuals have spiritual names. I know who Olga is, and you like to combine Sarah with him. And that's not feasible. We are aware that you believe we don't have eyes, so we can't see you, or me. Either can't see me. So if either can't see me, she'll think I'm somebody else, spiritually, which is ridiculous. We all have an energetic signature. So write that down so you can talk about it. You know, the ones that feel like they can hide me by not liking the video and come back and dissect what I have to say, always tell on themselves. Always. If this was a real community, you wouldn't feel like you had to hide me. You know what I'm talking about? While promoting those that you feel already have weight. But let me tell you something, Mr. Nino. You are not aware of who I am. Now, when you attempted to research Mabandusi Yakaraho, you said that does not sound Swahili, that sounds Asian. And when he said that is Swahili, you shut up. Because you don't know what you're talking about. When I see your content, I just scroll right past. Because you don't give off boss energy to me. If I'm going to listen to a man teach me something, they have to give off boss energy. That's just that on that. Because I don't want to hear just, I spent a lot of time, eons, listening to those that feel like they are bosses. I have a whole team of bosses. I would prefer, to listen to them. So when you branch off into my sector, like you said, make sure you know who Wajid is. Because it's like on call with me. I say a name, they pop up. Because they're my team. You know what I'm talking about? Interesting. You ever see someone go from blonde to black instantly? That's how they be doing their content. They go from dumb to smart. You know what I'm talking about? I say someone like Nino has a persona. When you watch his content, because if he were to come to the hood, they would laugh at him. Or, try to take all that stuff off of him. We different. If I go to the hood, they're gonna try to get at me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, little mama, you know what's something? Come talk to you. Woo, 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 woo. You know, that's what they do. You know, the ones that have boss energy. Now, they may not be bosses per se, but the ones that have boss energy, that's what they do. They're not gonna do that for you. You know, they're not gonna accept you and say, "Oh, he's real." You know what happened in Sarah? And because that's all I when I drove past, that's all I was. I was like, let me see if I'm gonna see one of them outside. You know what I'm saying? My bad if somebody else, was there. But they not finna say I'm finna go to a seminar and watch it. You're not up there. You know, I consider them greats, some of the greats from my era. You're not on that. You're not on that level. So don't even, you know what I'm saying? Don't even embarrass yourself like that. Now, in regards to recession, you know what I'm talking about? I'm aware that you had to research what it was because you had no idea of what I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So that means you weren't affected by it, per se. You know? But when that reality hit, that the views ain't viewing, you know, then you understood because you experience it firsthand. You know, this is why I say don't talk about things you know nothing about because you just look open. Now, in regards to chosen, you can put on a pinky ring as big as your head, and still that does not mean that you are chosen. You know what I'm talking about? Now, the reason why, even Sarah and Pharaoh are two different leagues. We're going to put that out right there. I understand that you see his content as of 3 or 4 years ago, and you say all he do is talk smack or whatever, you know. But because I've been following that man for years, a decade or so, as well as young Pharaoh, I understand that his body of work is more extensive than that. So if I'm talking about him, that means I know something that you don't know. What happens is they feel like I am someone that sets trends, even though people don't feel me. So they feel like if they highlight one word, that they'll somehow get in the mix. Content creator means you share, you like, you watch for years and then decide that this is gonna blow up if I say it. Because that's how they feel. None of your followers, viewers are in my league spiritually. If they were to come to my level, they would have an awakening. Okay? We're totally different. And the reason why I have to say this is because this is my life. This is not, oh, I just been on YT for 10 years, and this is my persona. This is my life. This is who I am. This happens on a daily. When I talk to people, there's an awakening. They start smiling. When I look into their eyes, when I speak to them, they say this is different. You know, I had an encounter with a young male after I got off Live. And we were crossing paths. And he stopped, turned to the side, and let me walk past. What you would call a YN. That is the type of energy I receive from YNs. I don't know why you feel like someone gonna get at me because of my mouth. They need to get at you. That's what they need to do. Now that he's gone, I am someone that allows people to realize their place. If you don't like me all of a sudden, that means don't use words that come from my mouth. Then you just look like an hater. I appreciate that. I imagine my legacy is going to be one that talks about being a legend from my time. Nothing compared to the original stuff. So y'all have to understand that. These groups are ones that, you know, when you on a brink of a breakthrough and you talk about spiritual aspects, but you don't really realize them yet, especially men. They go for what is black and white. That's understandable. But for me, I'm explaining what you're reading in a way where it connects to your being. You know what I'm talking about? It makes sense. Now, some of you that follow my community section, you understand that levitation has been a thing since people decided they were going to talk about it. When I talked about my experience levitating, some believed it and some didn't. But when you have all of these artists displaying it in their videos, that means something. That is one example of how I explain effortlessly what is taking place with an individual spiritually. I realize that I ruffle feathers, but me being me, I don't intend to. You have to sit back and realize why you feel way is regardless if you have your face in the camera or not. You don't know. But for me, I don't have to know. I don't have to know. I also understand that I'm popular in a lot of rural countries. You become popular outside of the states first. Those that give good music, that have longevity, they already know this to be true. But someone that is just looking and saying she's not getting no views, you have to understand that what you're looking at is an illusion. I'm not paying to look like I have views. That's the difference. You know, that it's like they have to keep up a good face. At some point, the views were genuine, and someone decided, I want to be at the top. You know? And so they say, let me just buy these views so I can be at the top. I can be seen first. Even after all the ledge being known, you know, it's grimy. I'm not talking about Juvie grimy, because I know what he talking about when he say he grimy. I'm talking about just grimy, where you wouldn't get no respect from a real man and something else.